When I say hospital admission, I was blue lighted to hospital. I could not breathe. You guys asked for a 10k training plan, so I thought, what better way to celebrate hitting 10k subscribers than giving you just that? But this is not just any 10k training plan. This is a 10k training plan inspired by the 11 weeks of training that I did building up to my fastest 10k time to date of 32:33 back in 2018. Now, I say inspired by that 10k training block for a very good reason. I made a lot of questionable decisions and frankly a lot of mistakes during that build up that I would not advise you to copy. So huge disclaimer, please do not copy what I'm about to talk through. To be honest, I'm lucky that I even made the start line for that race, let alone running that 32:33 PB. What I'm going to do is talk you through exactly what I did during the 11-week build up to that 10k. The good, the bad, the very bad, and the stupid from my actual training diary back in 2018. And then I'll provide you with the 11-week training plan inspired by that block, but with all the bad bits taken out. And I'll explain how you can access that plan, how you can get the most out of it towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. Before I get into that first week of training, I'm going to take you back to spring 2018 and just explain a little bit about where I was during that time. So physically, I was fairly fit. I was coming off the back of probably my best winter cross-country season to date, but in February I'd had a pretty bad injury which had put me out for pretty much 2 weeks of no running, and I'd been cross-training, so fit but not fighting fit, let's say. And mentally, I was in a pretty bad place during this time. I was at the worst point in my eating disorder, pretty underweight and making really poor decisions for my health and well-being, but that's probably another topic for a completely different video at another time, but important to note as I set this out. And in terms of the structure of the training that I was doing during this time, it was very intense. Not only was I doing 3 sessions and a long run in 1 week, but I hardly did anything easy. All of my runs, I was just smashing them, and that is why the plan that I'm providing you towards the end of this video is inspired by this plan, but tweaked thanks to the knowledge and experience that I have now, so that you don't live like I did, getting injured every 6 to 8 weeks, because it's just not sustainable. Let's get into week 1. So I started off the week with an 8-mile run on Monday, pretty typical. I was always set between 8 to 9 miles easy on the Monday, but as you can see, I ran at 6:28 minute miling, which in today's standards is still not easy and is very much my steady run pace. So I also mentioned that my foot was still hurting, so good to see that I ran through it anyway. Moving on to Tuesday, this was my first session in a month after the foot injury. It was on the track, so I did a mile, a K, and then some 400-meter repeats. And then on the Wednesday, I did a 40-minute spin, which would have been to take some of the impact off my foot to make sure that it was still healing. On to Thursday for the second session of the week then, and it was a tempo session, broken down. I never did sort of a full block of tempo during this time, so it was a 10-minute, 6-minute, 5-minute, 4-minute tempo with between 2 minutes and 90 seconds recovery between those reps. And apparently it was very windy. On Friday was a 4-mile easy run. This was pretty classic. I would usually do either 4 miles easy or a rest day on Friday, and at least I'm running in the 7s on that day, so actually a little bit easier than on Monday. And then at the weekend, during this time, I would do my long run on the Saturday and my session on the Sunday. That was just the structure of the week. So I did a solo long run on the Saturday at 6:12 minute miling average. That's a session. That is not a run. Anyway, on Sunday, after having done that pretty hard run with an average heart rate of 165, I did a session on the road. So started off with a 7.5 minute tempo and then did a mixture of Ks and 600s, totaling 12.37 miles for the day. And the total for that first week was 52.75 miles. Moving on to week 2, Monday, very much of the same, 8.5 miles, but looks like I slowed down a little bit and actually took that run easy, so well done me. Tuesday, I had another track session, but this week I also had a double, so I did 4 miles easy in the morning, and then a track session in the evening with a mile repeat at the start, and then lots of 800s and 400s, totaling 15 miles for the day. On Wednesday, I did another 8-mile run. Again, not easy, running at steady pace because that's just what I did back then. I can remember hating a run if it was 7 anything. So all of my runs had to be quicker than 7-minute miling. Don't ask me why. It's not conducive to running fast, but that's what I did. And then on the Thursday of that week, I did a tempo session. Again, it's a similar setup to the week before, just a broken down tempo. On Friday of this week, I did a 6-mile run because I had a race coming up that weekend. But as you'll see, on the Saturday, I did 3 miles on the treadmill because of the snow. Again, thinking that I had a race the next day, bringing my mileage down, and then the race was cancelled due to snow. So I did a snowy long run back at home in the forest instead, and I can remember it being so difficult to run because it was fresh snow and it was melting and it was just, pretty awful. And the total for that week, number 2, was 63.7 miles. And moving into week 3, again on the Monday, 9 miles. Apparently it was very icy, which is not surprising seeing as it snowed. Tuesday, I had a very short track session because on Wednesday, it was varsity away at St Mary's. So this was basically the derby between my university, Brunel, and St Mary's in West London. All of the sports teams would go head to head for the day over at St Mary's this year, and we won, of course we did, up the Bruce. I did the 1500 and the 800 in the medley relay on the track, and I think someone handed me a beer as I stepped off the track. So a very British sort of university away day, and it was good fun. On the Thursday, I did 10 miles steady, and then Friday was my usual 4 miles easy. Saturday was my main session of the week, and instead of a broken up tempo, it was more of a block tempo session. So 4 miles of straight tempo, the 5th as a steady mile, and then 2 more miles of tempo, totaling nearly 12 miles for the day. And then on Sunday, I did a 13-mile out and back long run, totaling 66 miles for week 3. So we're 4 weeks in, same deal as usual on Monday, 9 miles, running not easy. Then Tuesdays, similar to the week prior, 4 miles in the morning and then a grass session in the evening, 15.4 miles for that day. Wednesday was a double day, so I did 6 miles on the treadmill in the morning or at lunchtime, and then 4 in the evening, and then 4.4 miles on the Thursday, which was my birthday, so maybe I ran a shorter run that day because I had other plans. Then we moved towards the weekend, 8 miles steady on Friday, and then I did my long run on Saturday, 12.2 miles. And then on Sunday, to close the week, this was my favourite road session over at Aldershot. So it's a 7.5 minute tempo to get us started. And when I say tempo, that was at 5:15 minute miling. So very much not a tempo, more like just a rep. Then we had 5 by a K and 5 by 600 on this amazing, super fast road loop. I just loved this session. It was net downhill, so the times you have to take with a pinch of salt, but it was really good fun. So that closes off week 4 with a total of 72.5 miles. Things are going okay. Maybe I'm running my easy runs steady, but other than that, not too much drama, not too much questionable decisions. That is all about to change, and it is going to come completely crashing down starting this week. I fly out to Texas towards the start of this week to spend the week with my then boyfriend at his university, which was at altitude, very important point, whilst I had a chest infection. So that's the context. Let's get into what I actually did. Monday, 10 miles pre-flight, 6:14 minute miling. I'm clearly excited. Fine, we'll gloss over that. Tuesday then, rest day. I'm glad I put that in quotation marks because traveling to Texas is not a restful day, but I'm glad I didn't run that day. That's a tick, and probably the only tick that I'm gonna get in this week. Wednesday then, I've just arrived in Texas, and what better way to recover from a long flight when you have a chest infection than doing 10 miles at 6:15 pace? Yeah. Then on Thursday, I did a double day, so 5 miles in the morning and then a track session in the afternoon. And this is at altitude, I must stress. I think it's just over 1,000 meters, so it's not super high, but at the same time, I have just arrived here after a long travel day and I have a chest infection. Probably shouldn't be doing a track session. Anyway, the track session was 2K, 3 by a K, and then 5 400s and 3 200s. And I can remember absolutely blitzing these reps because the university was training at the track at the time, and I kind of just wanted to impress everyone. And yeah, I probably raced the session, essentially. So yeah, oops. Then on Friday, I did a 6-mile run. I did run easy, so at least there's that. And then when we get to the weekend, this is when everything starts to kind of get extremely questionable. Like, I am concerned that I made these decisions. So on Saturday, I've even written in my training diary, feeling rough, the 2-week-old cold that I have clearly been training through has turned chesty. So this is when I've got full-blown chest infection. I somehow decide that the best way to deal with that is to do a double day and run 4 miles in the morning at minus 7.2 degrees Celsius with ice on the grass. I can remember that run really well. And then do a tempo session in the afternoon, because that's the best way to get better when you have a chest infection, right? Then on Saturday, I did a 13-mile run with the guys. So again, a pretty quick pace, 6:33, and totaled 69 miles for that week, which is pretty much the same mileage that I did the week prior when apparently I had the start of a cough. Moving into week 6 then. I'm still in Texas at this point in time. On the Monday, I've said, cough getting progressively worse, keeping me up at night. Great. Still did 10 miles that day, on a windy day apparently. The Tuesday, similar sort of thing, did 9 miles. I've said here, was going to double run, but feeling too tired and weak. The cough is getting worse. I honestly just want to give my past self a shake at this point in time. Be like, what are you doing? So on to Wednesday then, pre-travel, I did a 7.5 mile run before coming home, and I've said, look, higher than usual heart rate for an easy run. I wonder why that is. Flight home in the afternoon, and then this is when it gets really, really bad. On the Thursday, I've written in my training diary here, arrived home in the afternoon, chest infection progressed, hospital admission, asthma exacerbated. And when I say hospital admission, I was blue lighted to hospital from my university room. My flatmates called an ambulance for me because I could not breathe. So I'm in hospital. I've got a heart rate of over 100 when my resting heart rate is usually 39. I had a temperature of 39 degrees and I was on oxygen. I had an IV. They were giving me medication and taking bloods and ECGs. It was terrifying. This is the point in time where I was prioritizing running over my health to the point where it literally put me in hospital. I would not advise anyone to run through a chest infection for even a day, let alone 2 weeks. I think this was a real wake-up call for me at the time, and I really do treat running with illness completely differently now. I get discharged at midnight. I remember my dad and my stepmom coming to pick me up and taking me home rather than letting me go back to uni, and at least some sensible decisions have occurred. I don't think these were even my decisions. I was under strict house arrest to rest. No running allowed until my heart rate came down to a good point. I closed that week out with 27 miles because of the reduced running towards the end of the week, and I'm still resting as we move into week 7. Moving into week 7 then, my first run back was on the Tuesday and I did 5 miles, 7 miles on the Wednesday, 8 on the Thursday and 5 on the Friday. I've said that my heart rate is slightly higher than normal, so probably shouldn't have started back running when I did, but no surprises there. Saturday I did 6 miles, and then on the Sunday I did 9 miles after watching the London Marathon. So 40 miles, nicely reduced, which I think is sensible after that chest infection and period of time in hospital. That closes out week 7. Moving into week 8, I've said cough pretty much totally gone now, thank goodness. 8 miles on the Monday, back to my usual, a track session on the Tuesday. Wednesday, again, bread and butter, we're doing 8 miles. getting back into the rhythm of training. Thursday, I did a grass session with some shorter reps. I did a spin in the evening rather than doing a double run, so some good choices being made. On the Friday, I had a rest day, and then on Saturday, I did my long run, reduced down to 11.5 miles, and then on Sunday, another grass session, totaling 62 miles for week 8. Moving into week 9, on the Monday, I have my classic 9 miles. On Tuesday, I have a track session, which is a mix of Ks, 4s and 8s. On Wednesday, I did 9 miles steady. Thursday was another session, doing 3 miles in the morning and then a road session in the evening. And then on Friday, I did 7.5 miles. So as we get to the weekend, you can tell that I've got a race coming up because I'm tapering down. Where I would usually have a long run and a session, I don't. So on Saturday, I did 5 miles, pretty steady. And then on Sunday, I did my classic pre-race, which is 3 miles easy and then 6 strides, totaling 62.6 miles for the end of week 9. And to start week 10, I have a race on the Monday. So week 10 then, and starting with a race on a Monday, which is a little bit unusual, but the Bucks weekend would go from Friday through till Monday, and that's essentially the British Universities Championships, and the 5K was always on the bank holiday Monday. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get out of this race. I was ready for it to be a little bit mediocre, having been ill and lost so much training time, but I actually really surprised myself, coming second in a pretty tactical race in 16:18, and coming second to Jess Judd, no less. So I would happily be second on the podium to Jess. She's a class act, and it was a really good day. Tuesday then, I did a double day just after the race, 50 minutes in the morning and 30 in the evening. Wednesday, back to my usual steady hour with 9.5 miles, and then a solo road session on Thursday, doing that classic broken up tempo that I've done previously, and then an easy 3 miles in the evening. Friday, I had a rest day. Saturday was my tapered long run. So again, you can see that I'm tapering. This is actually a week out from the race, doing 10.3 miles with my dad on the bike. And then on Sunday, a grass session over at Aldershot, totaling 70 miles for week 10, the week prior to race week. It's race week. Week 11 has arrived. I'm somehow on 2 feet and I've made it running into race week. And in classic 2018 me style, I start the week off with an 8-mile sprint. Running 8 miles at 6:06 minute miling, which is not a run, it is a session. And I think I can remember telling my friends that I was just so excited to be racing on the Saturday, which is why I ran so quick, which is very counterintuitive. Anyway, moving on to Tuesday, I did a track session, a mile, a K, and then lots of 400 repeats, and then a 4-mile run in the evening. Wednesday, I had a tapered steady run down to 6.25 miles. And then on Thursday, a very short session, just 6 minutes, 3 minutes, and 3 by 2 minutes on the grass, taking it nice and chilled. I'm actually tapering at this point. Then on Friday, again, it's my pre-race classic, 3 miles easy and some strides on the grass. And then we arrive on the day itself. Race day has arrived, the day that we have been waiting for, the day that I have been looking forward to this entire time. So starting it off with a 2-mile shakeout. The Highgate night of the 10k PBs is always in the evening, so always go for a shakeout in the morning when I have an evening race, just to wake those legs up. And in terms of the race itself, what I was aiming for was sub 33 minutes. I went into this race with a PB of 33:44, so I thought sub 33 is a good, realistic goal to shoot for. I wrote down the splits per kilometre of what I needed to hit to get that sub 33 time, and it just went completely out the window after about 4 or 5k. I was running way under those times, and I just thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to race this, go with the girls and see what happens. If I blow up at 7 or 8k, I tried. And I just never blew up. I progressed through the race, picking people off as I went and just running off adrenaline, the insane atmosphere that the Highgate Night of the 10K PBs always provides. And I've spoken about this race so many times before. I wish I had a video from this night itself, because this still stands today as one of my top running memories today. It was just an electric night, and I really surprised myself. I ended up finishing 5th overall, including out of the European Cup international race. I was 2nd Brit, and I actually beat 5 out of the 6 girls that were representing Great Britain that evening, whilst I was just running for my club. I ended up running 32:33, as we know. The first time I actually realised I was going to run that quick was when I had 200 metres to go, and I saw that the clock said 32:00, and the feeling that I had at that time wasn't actually a good one, because I realised that I was 30 seconds away from the time that I needed to qualify for the European Champs that summer. And I tried as hard as I could, but I just could not close in under 30 seconds, so I missed that qualifying time by 3 seconds. But on reflection, I knew that I wasn't shooting for that time, and the huge PB was enough of a reward for the amazing evening, and I was really happy to come away with that result. And honestly, looking back on this period of time and the training that I actually completed leading up to that race, and in the context of how I was feeling during that time, like I said, not in a very good place mentally, I'm really proud of myself for what I was able to achieve. But I think if I went back, there would be a few things that I might do a little bit differently. So that was the story behind my 10K PB and the training that I did leading up to that performance. The plan that I'm providing to you is inspired by that training block, so with most of the key workouts and long runs included, but adapted to produce a sustainable and balanced 11-week training plan that you can follow to target a 10K PB of your own. I'm also providing you with 2 different volume options to complete that plan. The first one will be a higher mileage volume option, which will be pretty similar to the mileage that I completed myself. And then the second one is a lower mileage option for people who are used to completing a slightly lower volume. Please be sensible and choose the right level of volume for that plan based on your current training load. And if you feel like both of those volume options are going to be too big a jump based on what you do at the moment, it may be worth looking online for one of the more beginner 10K training plans. There's loads of them out there that are free and really easy to follow. And then maybe come back to this video and try out that lower volume option once you've slowly built up your own training load. To access the plans, head over to my website, which is linked in the description below, and you'll find the 10K plan under free training plans. You can print it out and stick it on your walls or on the fridge if you like, so you can follow the training over that 11 weeks and target that 10K PB. And if you do follow the plan, please do reach out to me and let me know how it goes. And if 10K is more of a future training goal for you and you're looking to attack a 5K, I have the exact training plan for you. The video linked just here is a 5K training plan. I've had loads of people tell me that they really enjoyed the training and they smashed their PB as a result, so check out that video to hear more. Last thing to say, as always, love the grind.